Welcome to Power in Words, a quiet harbor where we gather to find strength, inspiration, and the positive energy needed to navigate the complexities of our daily lives. In this shared space, we do not seek perfection or impossible ideals, but rather the gentle, grounded truth of what it means to be human. Life can often feel like a relentless storm of expectations, a continuous current pushing us towards shores we never intended to reach. We are here to offer you a moment of stillness, a deep breath of understanding, and a reminder of the remarkable resilience residing inside you. It is a profound psychological reality that from the moment we are born, the world begins handing us scripts. These invisible instructions tell us how we should behave, what success ought to look like, and who we need to become in order to be loved and accepted. We internalize these voices so early that we often mistake them for our own. Ralph Waldo Emerson captured this beautifully when he observed that to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. This single sentence holds the weight of a lifelong struggle. Think about the immense courage it requires to strip away those layers of conditioning. As children, our survival depends entirely on our caregivers. Consequently, we learn to adapt our personalities to secure their affection. If quietness is rewarded, we suppress our natural exuberance. If achievement is the only path to validation, we forge an identity built purely on performance. We trade fragments of our authentic selves for the safety of belonging. This psychological transaction seems necessary at the time, yet it plants the seeds of a deep internal alienation that can haunt our adult lives with an unshakable, quiet sorrow. Many of us walk through our days carrying the heavy burden of impostor syndrome. It is not merely a fear of being exposed as incompetent in our professional environments, it is a much deeper terror. We are secretly terrified that people will discover the person they admire is actually a carefully constructed illusion. The psychological toll of maintaining this facade is staggering. It drains our vitality and leaves us feeling intensely isolated. Even when surrounded by friends or colleagues, we smile, we nod, and we agree, while a quiet, desperate part of us simply longs to be seen for who we really are. When you look into the mirror at the end of a long day, who is looking back at you? Is it the person you genuinely want to be, or a composite sketch drawn by societal pressures? This feeling of fragmentation is exponentially worsened by our digital landscape. We are constantly flooded with curated images of perfection, success, and happiness. The comparison trap is not just a modern inconvenience, it is a psychological hazard that actively erodes our self-worth. We subconsciously measure our complicated behind-the-scenes reality against the polished, heavily edited highlights of absolutely every other person online. To break free from this cycle, we must first confront our deepest fear, the fear of rejection. If we reveal our true colors, what if the world turns away? What if the people we love are disappointed? This terrifying vulnerability is the threshold of genuine freedom. The renowned researcher Brené Brown brilliantly stated that true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-acceptance. If you are hiding who you are not truly connecting. You are merely surviving quietly inside. Surviving quietly is exhausting because it requires constant vigilance. You have to monitor every word, every reaction, and every choice to ensure they align with the external expectations you have adopted. Eventually, the pain of suppressing your true nature becomes far greater than the imagined pain of judgment. You reach a psychological breaking point where the mask simply becomes too heavy to hold up any longer. This is not a moment of failure, although it might feel like a collapse. It is actually a profound shift in awareness. It is the quiet rebellion of a soul that simply refuses to hold its breath any longer. Stepping into this fresh oxygen means embracing the unknown. When you stop being the person everyone else expects, you might temporarily lose your sense of direction. This disorientation is completely normal. In psychology, we understand that identity formation is a lifelong process of dismantling and rebuilding. You are not a static object. You are a continuous evolving story. Giving yourself permission to change your mind, to walk away from paths that no longer serve your growth, and to disappoint certain people is an act of fierce self-compassion. The greatest accomplishment is remembering who you were before everyone else intervened. As you reclaim your narrative, you will encounter resistance. People who benefited from your conformity might feel threatened by your boundaries. They may call you selfish or claim you have fundamentally changed. Hear this clearly. Establishing boundaries is not an act of aggression against others. It is an act of preservation for yourself. It requires tremendous inner strength to stand firm when the environment demands your submission. You are actively rewiring decades of neural pathways that taught you to prioritize external validation over internal peace. This is the heavy, sacred work of returning to your own fundamental human center daily. Please understand that being authentic does not mean being flawless. Authenticity is not a shiny pedestal where you stand invulnerable and perfectly resolved. It is the exact opposite. It is the willingness to be seen in your messy, unresolved glory. It is admitting when you are afraid, acknowledging when you are exhausted, and celebrating when you feel pure joy without modulating those experiences to make others comfortable. In my years of psychological practice, I have witnessed countless individuals heal deeply simply by allowing their hidden fractures to catch the light. Your vulnerability is the birthplace of all genuine, lasting connection. Sometimes being yourself means standing completely alone in a crowded room. It means holding fast to your values when the current of popular opinion flows in the opposite direction. This solitude can feel incredibly daunting, but it is vastly superior to the profound loneliness of being disconnected from your own spirit. Consider the quiet strength it takes to say no to an opportunity that looks perfect on paper, but feels entirely wrong in your heart. That singular moment of self-trust is a monumental victory. It is a declaration of independence from the tyranny of external and broad societal expectations. We are culturally conditioned to measure our accomplishments through visible metrics. We count degrees, job titles, bank balances, and social followers. Yet, none of these metrics can accurately gauge the tranquility of your mind or the authenticity of your existence. True accomplishment is invisible to the naked eye. It is the unseen resilience you harness to face another day without losing your gentleness. It is the internal boundary you draw to protect your energy. It is the quiet refusal to betray your core convictions just to secure a fleeting moment of applause from people who do not completely matter. Becoming yourself is not about constructing a new, improved identity. It is inherently an act of excavation. You are gently dusting off the aspects of your character that were buried under years of cultural demands. This means embracing your shadow side alongside your light. The psychologist Carl Jung famously taught that we do not become enlightened by merely imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Your perceived flaws, your past mistakes, and your profound sensitivities are not liabilities to be eradicated. They are the essential rich soil from which your most authentic self will eventually bloom beautifully. There is a very real mourning process that accompanies this transformation. As you shed the expectations of others, you might outgrow relationships, environments, and even career paths that once defined you. Letting go of these familiar anchors is frightening. You may experience a deep sense of grief for the person you thought you had to be. Allow yourself to feel that sorrow. It is a necessary transition. You are mourning the illusion of safety to embrace the reality of freedom. Trust that as you create authentic space in your life, you will attract people who resonate purely with your truth. When we operate from a place of intense authenticity, even our failures take on a different texture. If you fail while trying to be someone else, the defeat is deeply bitter because you compromised your soul for a reward you did not receive. But if you stumble while walking your true path, the setback is merely an educational detour. It does not destroy your core because your foundation is built on self-respect rather than external approval. You develop a psychological buoyancy. You learn to forgive yourself faster, knowing that every misstep was taken with genuine intention. Authenticity is not a destination you finally reach. It is a daily, deliberate practice. It requires checking in with yourself every morning. You must ask yourself if the choices you are making today reflect your inner values or the pressures of your environment. Some days, the pressure will win, and that is perfectly acceptable. Give yourself grace. The goal is not unbroken perfection, but an increasing percentage of honest moments. As you gently course correct, your internal compass grows stronger. The voices of society gradually become background noise, and your own quiet intuition becomes the absolute loudest sound you hear. When you achieve this profound alignment, something beautiful happens. You begin to liberate others. The psychological phenomenon of emotional contagion means that your courage unconsciously gives the people around you permission to drop their own heavy masks. By refusing to conform to artificial standards, you become a living sanctuary for authenticity. You demonstrate that it is entirely possible to survive and thrive without sacrificing your soul. In a world starved for genuine connection, your unedited existence becomes a powerful beacon. Your greatest accomplishment becomes a quiet permission slip for everyone who witnesses your courage. Think of the child you once were, the one who adapted to survive. By choosing yourself today, you are reaching back through time and offering that child the ultimate protection they always deserved. You are looking at their unique quirks, their specific dreams, and their unfiltered emotions, and saying that they are entirely worthy of existing exactly as they are. This internal dialogue is the cornerstone of psychological healing. You gradually reduce your need for external validation because you are finally learning to be the steady, compassionate anchor your spirit has always needed. We must also acknowledge the swift passage of time. Our days on this earth are remarkably limited. Can you truly afford to spend your brief, precious existence playing a role written by strangers? The tragedy of life is not death, but what we allow to die inside of us while we are still living. Whenever you feel the heavy temptation to shrink, to conform, or to apologize for your nature, remember the absolute finality of time. Your life belongs exclusively to you. Claiming ownership of your narrative is not a luxury. It is your most urgent, fundamental moral imperative today. Take a slow, intentional breath right now. Feel the grounding weight of your own body sitting exactly where you are. Recognize the miraculous fact that out of the billions of people on this planet, there has never been and will never be another consciousness identical to yours. Your specific combination of talents, fears, hopes, and memories is a completely unrepeatable cosmic event. Do not diminish that magnificent event just to fit into a room that is simply too small for your spirit. You were born to take up space, to breathe deeply, and to exist unapologetically as yourself. We have walked through the shadows of expectation and returned to the bright, steady core of who you truly are. As you step back into the noise of the world today, carry this silence with you as a protective shield. Let go of the heavy scripts you never wrote. Trust the quiet voice that has survived every storm. The world does not need another carefully polished replica. It desperately needs the untamed beauty of your genuine soul. Your true self is your ultimate triumph. If this shared journey brought you peace, please like, share, and subscribe to Power in Words.